Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV Sports Spotlight. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from our shows focused on all things sports in the DMV. Please be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. First, on Pitt Sports Zone, Robert Morris University's football coach Bernard Clark Jr. recaps last week's win and how his team is preparing for their game this week. On Baltimore Ravens Rundown, we take a look at Head Coach John Harbaugh's press conference ahead of the start of Week 11. Lastly, we catch up with Candi Waller on coaching from the couch for game highlights and behind-the-scenes footage from the Washington Commanders' Week 10 loss against the Detroit Lions. Don't go anywhere, and as always, enjoy this week's episode of Bowie TV Sports Spotlight. What's going on, everybody, man? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live yet again, once again, through the eye of the Tiger. And of course, we got Tiger here with us, man, aka Coach Bernard Clark Jr. It's going down. Robert Morris University football. What's going on, Coach?
Not much, man. Not much. Just feeling a little better than I did a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Hey, they stacking.
They did.
One by one.
Something. Yeah, they trying to do something. They played hard, man. Young man went down and went up to Massachusetts, and they played well. You know, they started fast, played physical, and they finished. You know, that's the most important part. They finished.
One by one. One game at a time.
That's all you can do. Like I said, like eating an elephant. You only take it one bite at a time, not one big gulp. So we're good.
Take us through. Take us through the game. Tell us how, what transpired. And, we apologize. We wasn't able to connect with you guys on Saturday. Saturday was a homecoming game that I was covering. And
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Now, you have work to do. Don't worry about it. You know, it's one of those situations. Well, like I said, the game started fast. It's probably the first time we had to go out on offense first. You know, I think probably since no, it wasn't even Merrimack. I can't remember. They may have been our last game against West Lib. And so we went out there, went on offense first. They kicked it off to us. Offense drove right down the field, punched it in the end zone. You know, so we went ahead, 7-0 real quick, and they did a good job of coming back. They joke man fought back. But the thing is, it's like a tale of two halves. The first half, our defense literally gave up 150 yards rushing. And in the second half, that's first half. And in the second half, they gave up like minus 38 yards rushing. So it's one of those things.
Excuse the language. This is an adult show. Somebody got in their ass. Somebody got in their ass.
It was just a matter of helping them understand that, we weren't playing the way we were capable of playing. We made a lot of mistakes. Probably a lot of MAs in the first half, just not fitting where we're supposed to fit. But like I said, defensively, they came out the second half. They started putting pressure on the quarterback. Coach was calling some good plays. Some things worked out. And the offense clicked. We had 2 turnovers. And in the first half, we overcame those turnovers. So like I said, those guys did a great job of starting fast, playing physical, but most importantly, they finished. We went for it on 4th and 2. We had to. We were down by, I think, 4. So we had to go for it on 4th and 2. I think it was like 10 minutes or 9 minutes, something like that left. We were going to dump it off to the running back in the flat. Our tight end did a great job of beating the linebacker one-on-one, and Zach put it on him in the end zone, and Rich called the ball, and we went up by 3. We went up by 2, and then we kicked extra point, went up by 3. So our guys were on point, and the defense went out there and did what they needed to do to stop and turn the ball around. And on 4th down, they had to throw it away. So it was good deal.
Not only that, man, when you just talk about from when we started. And we talk about the continuity between, not only just having a new coaching staff and 50-plus new players, and, basically essentially 3 to 4 new offensive linemen, in addition to, on both sides of the ball, sometimes it takes that gel to gel a little bit faster. And, there have been moments where, it still could have gelled, even though the continuity may not have been to where you wanted to be. But at the end of the day, the way that they're playing now, some of our wows, we talked about discipline. We talked about distractions. We talked about finish. We talked about mentality. We talked about collaborating. And all of those things are seemingly taking place, now. And I'm not saying they're taking place now. They've always had their peaks and valleys when they showed. It just wasn't showing collectively across the board with everyone, as you has been alluding to.
Well, the good thing about what you and I talk about each week, they're playing complementary football.
Yeah.
Even when the offense turned it over, it wasn't like our defense went out there and gave up a touchdown. They went out there and they gave up a field goal. Or, they went out there and they played hard. They fought through it. They didn't get disappointed. When we had a chance to make field goals, Jason's doing a good job. He's putting them through the uprights. We're blocking and protecting the way we need to on field goals, get them through the uprights, giving us a little more morale. On field position, we had a good job. We end up they had a high snap on one of their punts. Our guy came off the edge tackle for a loss. We had an opportunity to go up. We only made 3 off of it, but we made 3 as opposed to getting nothing. So we're playing good complementary football. These guys are playing well together. They're getting after it, and they're enjoying what's going on right now. They're loving the fruits of their labor. Is probably the best way to put it. So I'm hoping these guys continue to just play hard. Practice this week ain't been the way I wanted, but we're still going in the right direction. Still going right. The effort's always going to be there. The energy's always going to be there. It's just a matter of taking those mistakes out of the way.
Hey man, listen, I ain't gonna hold you. The last 2 weeks, you said practice ain't been where you wanted, and seemingly at the end of the week, we walking away with W. So let's go, guys. Keep that practice not being where Coach wanted.
and that's probably the thing about it, man. When you win, the thing that probably gets hit first are the small things, the little things, the not doing this properly, not putting the foot here, not putting the hand here. So you got to make sure you're staying on top of those little things. They become extremely important. Things like cleaning up the locker room. Now you're excited. Now you ain't taking care of the locker room where you're supposed to take care of the locker room. So now I got to get on by taking care of the locker room. So like you said, it's the little things, but they also jump into big things. So as a coach, you're looking at it's like we're not doing the little things the way we need to do them in order to win football games. So those things become extremely important. So I want to make sure we stay on top of them about the little things. Even if it's scout team, hey, guys, you didn't run the play the way it's supposed to be run. Look at the card. Make sure you pay attention to the card. So all those things become extremely crucial when you're trying to win football games.
Offensive player of the week for the conference was running back.
Yeah, man, my man.
Talk about Shine and because for the last couple of weeks, definitely been, ramping it up and what you've been looking for and expecting out of your running back. And you were saying, you've been saying, I'm, waiting for that one. We got a collective group, but we waiting for that one. You can't just talk about his contributions of late, the last couple of weeks, and particularly this week.
Well, the positive thing about Shine, and I tell people all the time, he's one of those running backs. He's not going to break a 50-yard run for you, but he's going to get 4 or 5 yards every time you're handing the ball. And sometimes that's even better because you're still moving those chains, and that's the most important thing is moving those chains. And he's doing a great job of moving those chains. And Dante Wack, second team guy is doing a good job of relieving him. We need to relieve him. And every now and then we're throwing Owen McGraw, we're throwing Taj Daiches, and we'll get those guys out there, and they'll do a great job of playing hard and playing together. So, but Ethan's doing a good job of averaging 4 or 5 yards a pop last week, and the same thing the week before that. So he understands his role. He's doing a good job of running his role. And Zach's doing a great job of, just being that general that we need on the field when it comes to offense. He's making the plays he needs to make. Like I said, and we're overcoming mistakes, overcoming turnovers, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Absolutely. We last week, victorious. This week, you've already said that you're not, practice isn't what you wanted, which is MacBook Plus. Practice isn't what you wanted. However, let's go ahead and chop into this week against Wagner. What's our word of the week this week?
Our word of the week this week, because again, for the last 2 weeks, it's been learning. It was learning. The next was progression this past week, and we've been learning. We've been progressing. And the word this week, I want to make sure laurels. I want to make sure they're not resting on their laurels. I don't want them to be satisfied with what's going on. We got to continue to get better. We got to continue to progress. So let's not rest on our laurels this week, guys. Let's make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. I said the word in the team meeting. I said the word is laurels. They were like, Coach, what's that? How you spell it? So I had to explain.
Laurels, right?
And I had to explain to them, I don't want you to rest on your laurels, guys. You can't be satisfied with what's going on. You got to continue to get better. So let's make sure we understand it ain't good enough to win the last 2 weeks. We've got to make sure we put ourselves in position to win this week. So we don't want to rest on our laurels.
Can't get complacent on the victories that's in our rear view at this point. Got to look 100%. Forward to the next opponent, and that's just what it is. The next opponent, last week's success, the weeks before that success doesn't mean that it's going to translate to success this week.
Exactly. I needed you in the meeting with me, Pitch, standing right beside me to translate exactly what I'm talking about so they can get an idea that somebody knows what's going on. So, no,
Yeah,
what and that's the word. That's the word. I want to make sure these guys understand that. We can't be satisfied, like you said, with what we did. We got to
yeah.
make sure we're putting ourselves in position to continue to do what we're doing.
And what are some ways that you as a coach can make sure that the team, or is there ways that you can see if you feel the team is being complacent or resting on their laurels by way of practice or preparation? You know, is there any way that you can detect if they're resting on their laurels?
Well, to me, it's kind of how they're doing the little things. Like I said, I go
Mm,
back to like if we had like today we had a ton of false starts and some offsides. See, to me, right there, that's not being focused. See,
mm-hmm.
right now you're not being focused on the things you need to be focused on. And you're like, well, I'll correct it in the game. No, you're not going to correct it in the game.
Yeah,
We're gonna correct it right now. So we got to make sure we stay on top of when it comes to things like that. So when you start doing those little things like, or you see a receiver, he ain't running the depth at 5 yards, he's running at 4. So it's the little things that you got to make sure you're taking care of. But more importantly, it's how scout teams being run. When you got the scout team guys out there, they got to make sure they're still going full speed. They're still giving an unbelievable look for the offense, for the defense, and make sure we're doing the things we need to do. So those things become extremely important. You pay a lot more attention to those things when success starts, to make sure the guys aren't letting the little things slip.
I mean, iron sharpens iron, and one thing with the
Yes.
scout team, is that I think there's a bad misconception about it is that being on a scout team isn't a bad thing, right? Because it's also prepping you. In the event of an injury, coach knows that, hey, we seen what this kid was doing against the ones, at practice, so we already know that he's ready mentally. He's focused. He doesn't have any distractions,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's progressing and
Yep.
he's learning in the process while going up against the ones. I remember, when I was playing back then, the coach used to always tell the scout team, hey, listen, at any given moment, that one could be you. So you should be practicing every day like you're the one.
Well, it's crazy you say that because, Coach, at this time right now, Pitch, as you know, in college football, you can play 4 games and still be redshirted.
Yeah.
So as we get towards the tail end, we got some freshmen that we've liked the way they've been playing on scout team. So it's an opportunity now. Do we put them on kickoff? Do we put them on kickoff return? And are they going to give us what we need on kickoff return? Because I'm a firm believer in, if you can't get a guy to go hard on kickoff, go hard on punt, go hard on kick, if he ain't giving 100% on special teams, what is he going to give you when it's time to play offense and defense?
Absolutely.
He's not trying to execute what he's supposed to be doing on special teams. How's he going to execute what you need him to execute on offense and defense? So we got those windows right now where we got 3 games left. We got some freshmen that we want to take a look at and see what they can do and see if they can handle what they need to handle and get after it.
One of the other things we talked a lot about, this week, you said you guys started on offense. And, and some of the things that we often talk about is, starting fast, being physical and finishing.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to those 3, how, I know you said you started fast, you had you overcame some mental mistakes
Right.
to then still be victorious. So, even in victory, if in loss and victory, I always feel that there are learning moments, right?
Absolutely.
How
100%.
how do you build, or what do you look to build on from victory more, or from a loss more than a victory?
Well, when it comes to a victory, it's just good to watch those mistakes after a win. That's the best thing about it. But when it comes to a loss and you're trying to learn what's going on, you're talking about, again, it goes back to the little things. Where's your head placement? Where's your foot? Where's your foot placement? Why are you stepping with the wrong foot? You can't cross over as a linebacker and try to make that play downhill. You got to make sure you're shuffling, putting the weight on the inside balls of your feet so you can change directions. Are you taking a false step as a defensive lineman, getting reached early, and now are you giving up and playing the backside? Now the linebacker's trying to get over top. He's not getting over top. So those are the things you start looking at when you're losing a game. Where are those things going wrong at? Why are we not fitting the A gap with the defensive tackle like we're supposed to? Why are we not fitting the B gap? Why is that 3 technique getting reached? And if he does get reached, why isn't that linebacker over the top of that making him right? So
Right.
all those things become extremely crucial. Now, when you won a game and those things are happening, hey, I'm gonna still fix them, but we won. We got to make sure we're there. But when you lose a game and those things are happening, that's the reason you've lost the game, because those fits aren't there. You're not doing things you're supposed to do. You want to make sure they understand the importance of the little things.
What challenges does Wagner present coming in this?
The challenge we always face, they got a running quarterback. You know how we you know how we are against running quarterbacks. And the quarterback good. The young man does a good job. He makes good decisions. He takes what you give him. You know, he's not trying to throw a whole lot of deep balls. We give him a 5-yard out, he's going to take a 5-yard out. Give him a 10-yard dig, he's going to take a 10-yard dig. Real smart player. Probably one of the biggest running backs we've seen this year. My man's probably about 6'2", 235. You know, so that's another threat that they pose. And they got some solid tight ends. And their offensive lineman, their average is probably about 6'3", 6'4", about 290. You know, so they got a good size offensive line. But probably the guy that stands out is they got a defensive tackle. I can't think of his name, but I know he's number 3. My man's a beast. He is lighting people up. He's one of the shields on punt team. And they ran a fake to him. So they let you know how athletic he is and some of the stuff that he can do. And he's probably about 285 pounds. So my man moves extremely well. They got running backs, they got linebackers that run well, and they got some receivers that are real quick. So they pose a threat because they're coached well, and Coach Tom does a great job of coaching these guys. But that quarterback, he's posed as a threat more than anything else. He's a young man that can make you miss in space. We got to make sure we're bringing our feet, making tackles, and making some things happen.
And I was going to say, what are some ways that you can combat, or counter their strengths? Of course, defensively, making sound tackles,
Mm-hmm.
And then, offensively, making sure, helmet on helmet. We always
Yes.
used to say, everybody's helmet should be on the helmet, of the opposing team to combat the D tackles, progression, I should say, as the backfield, so. For a pass rusher like that, is it more maybe countered, or maybe some offset plays to try to make his path to the ball carrier longer than it usually is, or for a player like that, do you hope to take him out to play by running directly at him?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, that's kind of how we got to look at it. The good thing about last week, our O-line did a great job of moving bodies. Sean had like 128 yards. I think that's what he had. They did a great job of putting bodies on bodies and driving those guys to the second level and then picking up the second level guys. They did a great job of that. So we're looking to do some of that. But every now and then when you got a guy that good who can play who's playing that nose and playing that 3 technique extremely well, sometimes you got to block down on him and put a few more bodies on him, put 2 bodies on him and make sure we're getting where we need to be at and trying to get to the outside a little bit. So it's a combination of both, some of the things that we're going to do to try to get after these guys and kind of reassure that, again, we always got to go back to our running game, but we want to do what we do best. It's so crazy, man. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he told me, he used to work with the Dolphins. He said Don Shula had this saying, and he said, if you got red paint, paint the barn red. So what it boils down to is that simple. Let's do what you do well. Let's make sure we do it well and do a great job at it. So we want to make sure we get our running game going, but at the same time, we also want to make sure Zach is making great decisions when it comes to passes and things like that. So to answer your question, we're going to run at him, but we're also going to put him in a position where he's got to do a little bit of chasing also. Because like I said, the guy's one heck of an athlete.
Yeah, wear him down. And as you're going back to your analogy with the barn, why try to get creative away from the things that you're good at? Do what you're good at and then create off of those moments.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what you and I talked about. What do they do best? Don't worry about what you know as a coach. You try to get all this knowledge. You try to do all these trick plays. What do they do best? And that's what we're going to do, especially on defense. When it comes down to the quarterback, the most important thing is making sure we have good leverage on him when he's running the ball, whether it's good inside leverage or good outside leverage, and making sure that we're bringing our feet when we go to tackle this guy. Like I said, the guy does a great job running their offense. He's a mastermind when it comes to running their offense. He does a real good job at it. So we got to make sure that we're solid where we're supposed to be at, getting enough depths on our drop, make sure we're breaking up on stuff underneath us and not trying to worry about stuff underneath us and letting him hit the ball behind us on the digs and stuff like that. So we got to give him what he wants. If he's going to take a 5-yard hitch, let him throw that 5-yard hitch. Let's make sure we're making the tackle with 5 yards and doing what we're supposed to do until he gets tired of doing that. But he's doing a good job of running the offense. And like I said, the guy makes good decisions.
Going back to an alumni player of yours, highlight and Rob Carter, man.
I heard my man Rob doing his thing.
Man, we thought Rob was making ESPN catches then. I mean, I think he's probably got about 3 or 4 of them plus the kick or punt return.
Yeah.
from last
Yeah.
week.
Rob's
Definitely
doing it.
doing his thing.
You know, the good thing, I'm excited for him, man, too, because, you know, everybody has that dream of playing in the NFL when they're playing this game. Everybody does have it, but he has an opportunity to play professional football over in the CFL, and he's taking full advantage of that, man. And I told him before he left, I said, understand, young man, you're getting an opportunity to do something that you've been doing since you were 8, and now they're going to pay you to do it. So
Yeah.
take advantage of that as long as you can. So if you're going to play in the CFL for the next 10 years, go play in the CFL for the next 10 years. You'd love to get an opportunity to go to the NFL. I'm sure he would want to do that. But at the same time, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You know, make sure you understand the importance of what you're doing, that you are doing a job and getting paid to do a job that you've enjoyed to do since you were 8 years old. So take advantage of it. And that's what he's doing. I mean, like I said, he's made unbelievable catches. And now my man just returned one to the house on him. So Rob is doing his thing, man. I'm excited for him, but I'm also proud of what he's doing. He's taking advantage of the opportunity that he has, and he's having fun taking advantage of the opportunity that he has.
Hey.
Obviously seen the results over the past 4 games as far as the defense and how things turned around there. With Zach, what have you seen as far as maybe adjustments of made scheme-wise? What things have you seen as far as what he's done to help improve the defense?
The biggest thing I've seen probably from Zach and all the coaches and the players has been just steadiness. You know, I haven't seen a lot of changes. I've seen steady commitment and consistency and approach, hard work. You identify issues and things that need to improve, and you try to work at them and have good drills and good meetings and good teaching sessions, and players, really, I think as much as anything, it's just a two-way street. You know, it's a collaboration. You know, it's a partnership in the National Football League. Coaches, players, coaches, players. You know, that team thing is what really matters, and that's really what the guys have been doing. So. The results have been good, but we have a big challenge and a bunch of big challenges in front of us.
John, after reviewing the tape, what did you see and what did you like from Draymond Jones making his Ravens debut?
Yeah, boy, Draymond, he did well. You know, he got all his assignments right, and he had all the terms right, and he was versatile along the line. I think we talked about that possibility during the week. It was a factor, you know, physicality, quickness, knows how to play the game. You know, he added a good flavor to it.
John, DeAndre Jackson has had an impact. You know, 5 games he played, and obviously a big one yesterday. What did you see from him? Just along this way that made you guys okay? He's the guy, and we kind of believe in him to have an impact.
Me leading up to last season?
Yeah.
Well, you watch practice. You know, you're out there every day, and you see how guys perform in practice. And he was bringing it. You know, he was showing us a lot of progress, a lot of development, improvement, all those things. And he's got some unique skills. He's a big, rangy, fast, explosive athlete who's certainly not afraid to throw it in there, and mix it up, which he does at a high level. So, those are, and I think he's a football player. And he proves that. Infectious personality, high energy, and to see it show up on the field the way it has is a great thing to see. And he's building a resume, but now the standard keeps going up for him. And he's raising the bar for himself, which is awesome.
John, we've seen Malachi now be able to start racking up a couple of these interceptions over the last 2 weeks. What's changing for him? Is it just a matter of him getting more comfortable now to try to make these plays, or these ones that were there before? Have you noticed just him looking more comfortable that's leading to these turnovers? Yeah,
I do. I think he's starting to get a sense back there. It's such a processing the game inside the game when you're a player is so much about just feel. And you call it feel, call it what you want, but all the awareness of being able to calculate all the different crazy things that can happen inside of the play at the level of the NFL. I think you can only understand that if you played the NFL, which I haven't. To know how fast it is in the inside of the play in the National Football League. you can see him starting to click for him, you know, and he's reacting just a little bit faster, and he's conscientious. He always wants to do things right, so it's coming together.
John, in your experiences at the safety position, you coached secondary at one point. Is there a little more of a learning curve there just because of how much space they have to cover? I mean, not just all the processing you mentioned, but it's just a lot of territory.
Yeah, just experience as a coach and even experience as a player at that much smaller level. It's tougher to play inside than it is outside from a processing standpoint. When you're outside, whether it's a corner or an outside backer, it's just a little bit. You see the game this way. It makes it a little bit simpler to process. When you're in here, you see the game this way. And it's just, there's more going on that you have to have a sense for.
John, there was a report that Rashad Bateman left in a boot, and do you have an update on him? As you watched it again, did you think that was a hip drop tackle on him down near the goal line?
What is a hip drop tackle? It's an enigma apparently that can't be called during the game. It looked like a hip drop tackle, I think so, yeah, based on the definition. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? I hope not.
Do you have an update on Rashad?
I think he's going to be okay. Yeah, he's got an ankle sprain. We'll see how serious it is going forward.
So you not expect him to miss time, or is that still TBD?
Excuse me?
Do you not expect him to miss time, or is that still TBD?
So we'll see where we're at. We'll probably know more on Wednesday. You know.
John, we also saw Jay Higgins walk out with a brace. Is that a significant knee injury?
That is not a season ender, but it's going to be a few weeks.
John, we've seen the change of pace with Keaton Mitchell work really well over the last few weeks. Do you sort of like the level at which you're using that right now, or is that something that we could maybe see even more in certain games? Or
yeah, I think more. Yeah, we should. And we were kind of intentional. We wanted to do more. You know, just for whatever reason, we didn't get to it, but definitely want to see more Keaton. You know, I think more you can mix it up. It's hard to take. I mean, you know, it's hard to take plays out there at Henry's plate. You know, that's a challenge. Right? You gotta. And anybody can understand that, but mixing it up is also a good thing too. You know, and I think all the guys understand the value of that too. So we try to find that. It's going to be game to game problem. We try to find that where everybody's most effective.
John, was it something that he improved on that led to his increased role, or was it really more from the coaching game plan side? Was it something that Keaton did that earned him an increased role, or was it more from the game planning side?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of both, but probably more Keaton. You know, just watching him throughout the course of the season, you know, he's been working hard. He was coming back, hadn't played a lot last year. I think he kind of was getting his sea legs back as a football player. You know. Offensively and on special teams, both. And he made a big impact on special teams yesterday twice as a gunner. I don't know if you noticed, but he had one play on the left sideline where he got down there right away, and then he had one where he got tackled and backed him up to the inside the 7-yard line, which was huge for us because it backed him up on that last drive. And then McCarthy got the big scramble, but only got him out to like the 35-yard line because of that. That was a massive play, kind of hitting yardage play by Keaton. But even as a running back, I think he's really starting to. In the last, not just now, in the last probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you're really starting to see him come alive.
John, Nate Wiggins said after the game that he again went to the coaches and said he'd like to shout out Justin Jefferson. How much do you appreciate that when a young corner wants that assignment, shows that confidence, and how important do you think that level of confidence is when you're a young corner trying to learn how to play one of the toughest positions in the league?
Yeah, I mean, heck yeah, it's appreciated, it's important, and you expect anybody, you know, corner. I mean, if you want to be a cover corner, you better want to cover them all. You know, and believe in yourself and appreciate that. You know, he's not the only corner on defense that feels that way. They all do. Every one of them feels that way, and they're all talented. We've got a bunch of good cover corners. You know, I thought our secondary played great. I thought our defensive line covered really well. Batted a bunch of balls down. That was great to see. We had a bunch of defended passes. I was told it was the 4th most in franchise history. Passes broken up in the game. So everybody played a role in that. But no, I think all those guys are covered great. Nate, and yet Nate, since we're talking about Nate, he's bragging about how he should be covering everybody. You know, Nate knows he can play better too. I promise you, he knows he can play after play. He can play even better and more dominant than he is locking in from one play to the next. And all the guys, the thing I love about our guys is that's the approach they take. You know, trying to improve and get better all the time.
John, only 2 for 5 in the red zone yesterday. What has to happen for you guys to be more consistent down there?
Yeah, that was disappointing. You know, great field position. Appreciate the 2 touchdowns. You know, we got them kind of late, a little later there after we didn't get, after the 3 we didn't get. But we need to be scoring touchdowns down there. We're good enough to do it. We just, it's a combination probably of got to keep putting our guys in the best position we can with, you know, great plays and creative things to do. You got to run the ball in the red zone. That's really important. And then you got to do things right down there and find a way to get open. Like we executed a really good play to bait, you know, on the 2-pointer. That was a nice little scheme, and that's what they were doing, and it was executed well. So it kind of goes to, you know, come up with the good plays down there because it's tight quarters, and then execute them really well. It takes time and practice, get them oiled up. We can be better down there across the board.
Hey, John, on that, related to that, you had the play where it looks to be a tush-push line, then Mark Andrews gets in, it's a toss to Jackson. Without getting any state secrets here, how does a play like that come about?
That's a state secret. It's a very creative play. I give the coaching staff credit, Todd, the guys, just all the credit in the world for that, you know, for coming up with that idea. But that was one we've been working on for a while, you know, and trying to get that kind of honed up. And I don't know if anybody's really done that before that I've noticed. And so we had to kind of work through the kinks in practice. And then the other one was the quarterback sweep, you know, to the left was a check with me type play that we've been working on for a few weeks. So now those have been run. You know, maybe they'll show up again in some form, or some other thing we have to come up with. Those are the things that win games for you.
What did you think of Lamar's one-hand grab on the toss? It was a high toss.
I thought it was a great catch. Yeah, it was a great catch. I did gulp for 1 second. You know, I was very thankful that Lamar was the guy catching it. You know, he's got great hands. So yeah, and you know, he didn't even miss stride. Just pulled it right in like it was nothing.
John, obviously your roster was healthy yesterday going into the game. One thing that stood out in the inactive was Carson Vincent was up.
Who's that?
Carson Vincent.
Yeah.
He was active. I know he only played a little bit on special teams, but what are you seeing from him in terms of his development and kind of what goes into that decision to have him up and, you know, you had no room inactive?
Yeah, it was kind of just an opportunity. I think he had probably gotten to the point where he was on the same par with Joe in some ways. I mean, they're different because you've got a veteran guy and you got a young guy. So Joe's more, you know, has more understanding. So Joe, you know, scheme-wise, you know, Joe's going to know what to do, and Joe's a heck of an athlete. Then you got this young, talented, big, rangy guy that you want to kind of give an opportunity to and see how he can do, but not until he's somewhat ready. You know, you can't put him out there until he's ready. He really hadn't been ready up until the last week or two, maybe probably 2 weeks. We felt like he was back, he was in the conversation, and then we just decided to do it, see if he could handle field goal protection, and then if, you know, he would have had to be the backup if something happened.
Likewise with Carl Lawson yesterday not getting elevated, is that just a numbers / situational thing, or maybe even still coming up to speed on defense, or?
Yeah, it's the first part.
Okay.
I mean, what you do is you look at the group and you say, where are the reps?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have the reps, you know, to have them up. We needed the reps more in the D line, you know, because that's just the way the numbers work. So I definitely want to get him up, and I kind of talked about that last week. He's ready to roll.
John, what was the discussion like before that last play on your last offensive drive, whether to throw it, whether to run it? It comes after the 2-minute warning.
The bootleg?
Yeah, the bootleg, you know, staying aggressive or trying to run clock. What was kind of that?
That was pretty much the discussion. You know, we wanted to get it. That was really the thing. What gives us the best chance to get it? And it's a run. It's a movement pass, probably, or it's a you know, you can do a quarterback-driven run if you wanted to. We didn't really want to go there. Bootleg we thought was a good movement for Lamar to get out and make something happen, or a drop-back pass, which was inviting a bunch of pressure. And what we didn't want to do is be sitting. I didn't want to be sitting in the pocket with a blitz, or some crazy thing happened to us with So, we ended up getting a batted ball, but I didn't want a batted ball. I didn't want a sack. I didn't want any risky thing. I wanted to get out there where Lamar could make a decision, and he did make a good decision. I mean, that guy wasn't going to intercept that ball there, but I didn't take on Van Ginkel, man. I mean, that guy is something. He made a bunch of plays on the perimeter, on screens and different things. So, didn't work for us. We wanted to keep our offense on the field, keep our defense off the field, and try to get the first down.
John, a big story, I guess, yesterday was all the false starts that the Vikings committed. Did you think that? Well, I don't know if you saw it, but it seemed like the players and the coaches, seemed like they thought that you guys as players were doing things to
really? Did they?
impact.
Did you read all the quotes?
I mean, it said I'm reading them.
Did you read the head coach's quote?
I didn't see the head. I see some from Aaron Jones.
Or all the other players? One of the players said that, and then pretty much, I don't know, I think I read it like five other players, and one of the head coach said no. But I can tell you, it did catch my attention, yes. And so I went back and I watched it, and because we didn't have a game plan for that. If we did, I would have been happy. But we're not going to do anything illegal. If you stem, you make a move call, which is what you do. You're allowed to say move. You're not allowed to say set or hut or anything else, or cadence, which we would never have done. But then I watched all of them, and none of them did we stem. Not one did we move. Numerous times we were even kind of like going like this when they jumped, because of the cadence that they were given. They were doing a lot of cadence. They were doing a lot of on two, trying to draw us off sides, and then they were doing some shifts where they could uncover man zone and try to see what we were in. And they jumped a few times when they were doing that to try to get to their alerts and change plays. So you had, like Coach O'Connell said, it wasn't anything we were doing.
John, also with, since you got Gilman, you put Hamilton a little bit closer to the line, moving around like that. What makes him so good to be, create so much havoc and unpredictability when he's so close to that line?
Good genes, I think, probably. Genes. He's talented. But the other thing is, he really, he's got versatility is not just talent. It's also understanding the game and also study. He's got to know a lot. There's a lot he has to know. Process and understand about the game plan and stuff, and I just think he kind of knows the whole defense. He probably come out of the main position. We'll keep him away from nose guard. How about that? You can play all the other ones. But he's special that way.
There's a lot more football left, but how much of a statement is it that this team's been able to come back, win 3 in a row, and now be in a situation where they're just 1 game behind the Steelers?
Right. I think the statement remains to be stated. That's what it kind of means. It's like we have a long way to go, and that's where our guys are at.
Still, did you send a text to Jim? Thanks for the help.
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Absolutely. Sent him numerous, more good luck texts than usual. And I was very pleased with the outcome.
John, is Marlon's finger, he talked a little bit about it, he said he's never experienced anything like it's something you guys are just going to have to manage, or could he maybe need some time away?
Yeah, he might need to get something done to tighten it up, which would be, he could play right away, maybe the week, or maybe take a week to get him back from that if he does decide to do a surgery. But it would be only a week at most, what I was told. I don't know, I guess when you say a week, then I'm thinking maybe 2, but maybe none. So if he decides to play with it and keep it wrapped up, then he can play in this game. So that's where he's at right now.
All right, guys, we can get rolling. Kind of visit with the team. We make a big deal about, our commander standards, and we sure as hell aren't coaching or playing up to it. We're way off, and that's up to us to fix that. And also told the team it's for us to go away, get it together. Not the worst thing for us. We got to find solutions, where we're at, and doing that together. That's the right space to go do it. So we'll take it on the road tomorrow night, and we got a lot of things to fix. Like I said, we're off course, things to address, and being together is the best way to go do that.
Dan, you've tried different things to fix that defense. None of it has worked. How do you explain that, and how baffled are you by what's going on?
Yeah, we're all obviously disappointed, just execution, not creating takeaways, the ones to go. And I think, why you're seeing that, that's definitely frustrated, and we all are. Baffled, frustrated, all of that, all those emotions, John, it's accurate. So we got to channel that, into finding the things that we can do well and play that. Because when we can't, it's, too easy, too difficult, too easy for us, or too difficult, too easy for them, whatever that looks like. But play style, identity, all that, it feels off.
Then what other changes can you even make when you look at that D, whether it's personnel, staff? Are there more things that you can do at this point?
Yeah, I understand you have to ask that. Honestly, post-game, I'm not there yet, want to have thoughtful, answers and decisions and personnel. But like I said, I understand you have to ask that, but I'm not there yet to figure it out. So I got a lot to look at tonight as we get into the week, and we have, this game and then a bye. We've got to put everything we can into this week to make sure we can play like we're capable, fix some of these issues. And so to me, that's kind of where my tunnel vision is of start with that.
Season's different, and this team's different from last year's team. I just wonder, though, there's still a lot of guys that were here last year.
Yes.
And I just wonder how stunned you are that you all are so far away from where you were last season in terms of not just the results, but just the way you were playing.
Yeah, we definitely are. That's why, the frustration, man, I get that. And it's not an excuse. We got to find a way to channel that frustration, like you saw at the end of the half, penalties and actions, we can't have it. It's all coming from that, from the frustration, the angst, that feeling, the darkness of it all. No one saw that, obviously, coming, DA, about where we're at. But I also told him, that's the chapter in. That's where we are, and we have to be the ones to get it out. I'm not saying it's going to go, this much better, but it has to be. And we're the ones to go do that. We got to be the ones to dig it out. And that's why I kind of just want everything I can into this game, this moment, and see what we can go get better at. And that's what we'll do.
Planned out Spain for probably months.
Yep.
I just wondered, do you think about changing anything just because of where you are right now?
No, just the opposite. I'm feeling fortunate that we are hitting the road tonight together. Sometimes when you're going through it, you need everybody together. You talk about it and what's the thing you can do better and you can do. And so if all of us start collectively thinking that way together, it forces you to do that. And so we got a good group, man. You don't want, you have to have these standards that you go to, but this is where we're at. And so we got to fix it together and solutions. And so by them doing that together, it's fortunate that we're in this time. If we hadn't, I wish could we move it up to go and spend as much as we can to get answers, solutions. The practice and the preparation, I thought last week hit the mark. The performance didn't. So there's more to it. It's not where are we missing? Where are we missing? There's a gap that's taken place, and that's, like I said, it's everybody.
Coming on the wrong side of this again, what's the feeling in that locker room?
For us, I think everyone's frustrated, upset, which I think those are emotions that you want to feel at this point. Nobody's in there giving up at all. But at the same time, we have to figure this out, and we got to get it right. Bobby stood up and said something at halftime, and I really appreciate the fact that he led us and said, hey, this is on us. We have to figure it out. It's not just offense. It's not just defense. It's not just special teams. It's on everybody. And at the end of the day, like I said, going into this game, I believe in the guys in this locker room. But we have to figure out what it is and what these details are. If we're missing the lack of execution, it takes all of us. So regardless of where we are, at the end of the day, doesn't matter who we're playing, it's on us and how we got to figure out together how we can get this right.
What was DQ's message after the game, knowing you guys are headed to Europe?
Yeah, he basically was very much the same way that I feel and kind of what I said, but also like it's a interesting time for our team, and I think it's in a good time to go as a team together early, where we can all kind of sit down and be together for the next 7 days and figure out how we can get this right. So it's interesting how the schedule kind of played out that way, but I do feel like this is a good opportunity for us to, one, figure out who we are and who we want to be, and two, like, just to get this thing right.
Marcus, how far away does it feel from being the team that you think you're capable of being?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I don't feel real close. And at the same time, though, day in and day out, I see guys coming in, giving it their all. So I do feel like we have the motivation, the determination to get this right. But we're running out of games and we're running out of time. So there has to be a sense of urgency, which I do believe there is in the locker room, and we'll figure it out.
Let's just jump right on in on how we normally do this. You all, if there's questions, Wole will definitely try to catch all of those.
So well.
We'll see if we have some time. I did pack from Madrid, so I'm ready to go, but it has been a long, long day. So we'll see if we have time at the end to get into some live, like meaning you can hop in, you know.
And ask your question.
But I love to play this game called What's Your One Word? So, what is your one word that you had for this game at the end of it when the game ended? What was your one word? So, Wole, what was your one word?
Quit.
Quit was your one word. Okay, all right. Let's get into that. What's that? Your one word?
I saw people not putting in after it got when it got. I felt like people did not put in the total effort after a certain point. I felt like they quit. I don't want to be mean about it, but quit. Like some folks, you can watch it on TV and you can see it. Like they quit. And to be real with you, I felt like as soon as the Lions stepped on the football field, they didn't believe. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody can say what they want to say. It's cool and it sounds good in terms of the players and the coaches. All the talk is good, but when you see it for what it is, when they stepped on the football field, when the Lions stepped on the football field, you saw like the Commanders looking at their bigger brothers and looking at like, dude, we don't got a chance. That's how I looked at it. Like they looking up, not looking eye to eye, but looking up and saying we don't got a chance. I got to stop because I saw somebody in the chat. Hey, Mama Waller, how you doing? Everybody say hi to Mama Waller too. If you in the chat, say hi to Mama Waller.
Everybody say hi.
Yeah, but that's how I looked at it. Like more than anything, because I'm all about competing, and like I don't care. Like I don't care who you have on your team. You can get beat, and that's fine. I ain't worried about that. You can get blown out to a certain extent, but I felt like they quit.
Anybody else? I think I saw one that said expected. Here's something for giggles. Like I put my head down. I was looking. Donna Hopkins. Blame Donna for this picture. Okay. There's some more pictures and video of me like asking her, "Are you recording me? Because I got a question. And if you recorded me, I'm not asking my question." But that is my face at one point in time that she caught me looking out at the field in the press box.
I get the depression. I get that by watching what you saw.
Like, ooh, whoa, like what is this? And so, to your point, Wole, I will say this. The same swag that they were in Detroit with last year. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And this has never been a super chatty, talk a lot of trash. That's never been their vibe, even like going into a game. But it was just another level of preparedness. You just saw it. You just knew it, and maybe it's for a variety of different reasons. Who knows? But I mean, it's always been a tough watch. You
Yeah.
see, you know, I know there was a lot of talk around Deron Payne, his frustration. He got ejected off the rip.
Yeah. Good punch.
Right. Yep. Javon Kinlaw said he saw Amon, I always say his name wrong.
St. Brown.
So, yep, St. Brown.
Brown.
Amon St. Brown hit Deron, and then, Deron did what he did. But I was like, that was like a cold, that was just, I want to say, I don't know if everyone saw it last week, but there was a clip from WUSA 9 where last week where Bobby Wagner was doing a lot of talking to Deron and trying to get him back in the game, get back in the game
mentally. Yeah.
And we've known Deron for a while now, and I've covered Deron for a while now, and everyone knows he hates losing. And when when it starts getting thick and the trash talking start hitting home,
he gets mad.
He gets mad.
Yeah.
He gets mad. So that
he's sneaky. Yeah.
He got mad, and before the game and pregame, and you all have heard me say this before, revenge tours are real. You went into the number 1 seed's house in the divisional round and beat them.
Yeah.
And you weren't quiet during the game either, right?
Yeah.
So what did you think was going to happen?
I guess that's where my again.
It's like I'm in this space. You heard me say this before, where it's like, where is the proactive knowing that somebody's gonna come into your house to try to blow it down? That's all. I understand being the hunters, but you have to understand that others are hunters as well, and you have to understand when you are being hunted. So therefore, you have to proactively be prepared for whatever somebody's going to do to try to punch you in the mouth. Like, you have to be prepared. And so much this year has just looked like they weren't prepared for others to be prepared for them. Last year it was all a surprise. People didn't know what they were going to do. They didn't know what this coaching staff was going to be about when they all came together. They didn't know these players. Some of them they had completely written off. They didn't know what to expect. Not them as a collective. Now it's like you're shocked that these people are going to be hitting you below the belt and running the numbers up on you. And that's where I'm like, you did know that this was going to happen, right? Like you had to know that they were going to play you different. They're going to play you different. We've always talked about playing up to your competition or doing this and you know what I mean? You have to know that this is what's going to happen. And so it's so much of this season that it felt like it didn't look like you were ready to be hunted. Understanding I'm still the hunter. But you're going to try me? All right. They have not been ready at all. And so it's like, okay, if somebody threw a punch, somebody's frustrated, all that, but you had to know they were going to do that. I think that's where I'm at. And that's what I've watched. Like, why is everybody so surprised? Like they're doing this. Yeah. You look like you weren't ready for the smoke.
Yeah, I think that's my issue. I mean, I get lose. I mean, when you're getting dominated, I get frustration, and I'm not even mad. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not even mad for Deron Payne for throwing a punch. At least he showed that he had some type of anger on the field. Like he showed some type of fight in that aspect. I know it sounds funny for me to say it, but at least there's some type of passion being shown. But like on the football field, where and obviously you want your best player not to be one of your best players not to be ejected to help you out in the football field. But I will say this, man. Like in terms of, and I'm not gonna speak for the offense because I feel like that's on a different side. I think the offense. I didn't have an issue with the offense. They can do so much on their side of the ball.
Yeah.
But on that defensive side of the ball, like I don't know what that was. And I know Detroit's a good scoring offense. It's not a knock or anything, but that there is such thing as trying to put out some type of friction, like something. Like you can get beat, but it looks like that you're putting all effort out there. And I'm not saying that, or you're putting it all out there, like just the better team won in terms of competition or whatever. That wasn't that. Like to this run of 40, 30, 40, 30, that's not like, I think it's easy to say talent, injuries, or whatever. Like I think that's an easy thing for a lot of for like a lot of folks who just watch it from a distance, right? It's an easy thing to say. But like when we're talking about the scores that we're seeing and the fashion of how these teams are scoring on them, that's more than just injuries, right? That's a lot, or more than talent. That's coach. That's an environment. That's more of an environment thing. Goes back to what you asked Coach about. You know, the mottos, the mantras, or the mantras, like, are they still doing it? Do they still believe it? Do they still believe in the brotherhood? I think all that has to come in question when you having this run of bad play. And I'm not going to, I'll be real, like on one side of football, this run of bad play isn't matching up with like the mantra that we heard from last year and we heard earlier this season.
No, it's not. I think, another thing with my, I think I saw a question coming here because there's a lot of things that we need to be like really,
I got you,
honest and real about, and so that I can help you all bring real life.
Do you want to hit it? Do you want to put out the questions for you?
Emotions, and I can take some questions while we're talking because I know people are upset.
Yeah.
So I think, let me
Here's
see.
one. This one, Paul. This is from Taj.
See, I can't see right.
I got you. I read it for you.
Where am I
question: ignoring the cliche and the rhetoric, what are the realistic goals that you would like to see for the rest of the season?
That I would like to see.
You personally.
I mean, at this point, you got to see effort.
Yeah.
You got to see effort. I mean, I'm clear even in the pregame, right? That, hey, even for a healthy Washington Commanders team that does everything right, I said that I've made that comment now last week for sure against Seattle, and you heard me say it today.
Yeah.
And you ever heard me say it other weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I said it for the Seattle Seahawks, and I said it today. Even if there was a completely healthy Washington roster, they did everything right. This is still a game they could lose.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah.
Absolutely fair.
Yeah.
I watched competitive football games that somebody's got to lose.
Yeah.
There can only be one winner. They don't give out participation trophies.
Yeah,
so it's try effort. Because it's unraveling real bad. Now you saw the offense hold up. Now today, was I all in on all of the play calling? And no, because there were still some challenges in the beginning that I'm like, now come on now.
Yeah.
Run the ball consistently, right? Do it consistently. And but when Terry and Arnold went out with the concussion, okay, you're gonna take a bit. That's what happened.
Yeah.
You started taking a little bit more shots. Terry and Arnold is out.
Yeah.
So you saw that. That's what happened when you started saying, "Oh, they going downfield." Yeah, Terry and Arnold is out with a concussion. That's why. So you saw them make those moves, and that's great. And the offense can only do but so much. Seriously, they digging way deep. But I would have liked to see them have run the ball more consistently. Now on defense, there's something going on there.
That's just
There's something going on, and that was very clear today.
Songbird B,
reason.
He's giving you a flower. Said, girl to girl, Candi, you look beautiful tonight. Songbird B.
You said that. Hello, hi.
Songbird B. Gotta make sure folks get their flowers.
Thank you.
Gotta make sure.
That's that game day beat, child.
You got Paul.
Game day beat, girl. Gotta get that game day beat. I try to do